Hey everybody, it's your boy Jack here, and today in this video I'm going to be doing like a part 2 review of Epic Comic Box. I got this box a few months ago. I think I got the February box. I know it's already July, but like whatever. And I sort of wanted to do like a follow-up review because I know I really did talk about the box itself negatively, but I never actually touched on the comics itself. And I felt, you know what, like if I'm gonna, I sort of want to give them a bit more of like a fair shot as a comic book, like as a comic book subscription box. Just because for me it wasn't the best fit, but it may be a better fit for some other, it may be a bit of a better fit for some of the other people watching this video. So if you want to watch part 1 of this video, you can check out the original unboxing above in the card or below in the description. So I've read all the comics, I've ranked them all, and I want to give you my thoughts. So let's dive into it. So let's dive into comic number 6, personally my lowest ranked comic in the Epic Comic Box. And that one is Mata Hari. Personally for me, I didn't like Mata Hari. I like when it comes to comics and everything, I just don't like how like women are just like portrayed on like these covers where they're wearing the skimpy outfits and stuff. I feel like women in comics should be empowered a bit more, and I know that that was the story that it was going for and everything, but to be honest, I wasn't really interested in it. The dialogue was all over the place. It was really confusing to get a consistent story out of each page. Overall, I felt like as well for this comic, I felt like the story was all over the place as well, and I just couldn't really grab the attention of this book itself. And like the artwork was interesting, it was just a story that really did bring it down, and that's why I ranked this at number 6. It's my least favorite. Moving forward, coming in at number 5, we have this one here, Hellboy and the BPRD, 1955. This comic was a good comic. It had a really good story, like all the way through, and I believe it was based in Panama and everything. And overall, I really did like this comic, but the only thing that I just didn't love about it, and why I put it at number 5, was the story itself was really simple. It had like a Scooby-Doo like premise with the BRPD, with it basically being like a whole Scooby-Doo type episode where it's like Hellboy and gang finds the like entity or whatever. They find the entity, they try to destroy the entity, all that kind of like stuff. That's basically the whole premise of like a Scooby-Doo type episode. And like that's why I didn't really love it. I felt like the artwork was good and it was interesting, and I really like Hellboy comic art. I just felt like, you know, the story itself was very simple, and I would have loved to see them pull this out through a 2 or 3 like comic arc and develop maybe the characters a bit more. So yeah, besides that, that's just my opinion about it. So yeah, that's why I ranked it at number 5. Moving forward, coming in at number 4, we have this comic here, Boom. It's The One. It's by Richard Veidt. It's from IDW Publishing. Personally for me, I put this one in the middle of the pack because it has an interesting concept itself, and like the story was interesting, like, but also slightly confusing. It sort of takes on the role of a zombie apocalypse in a way, and I felt like for this comic it was something that I found interesting about it. Also, the art style in it, I sort of want to call novelty, because it's like it's very much of like a cartoony, but it's also like in a way it's sort of novelty because it just feels like something you could see at like a souvenir shop, or like that kind of art style, which I actually really did like. There was a lot of like political context and stuff, which I liked as well, like sort of relating to the 1960s, and I did like that. I felt like, you know, this story was good. It was just like the whole idea of the one and everything was the part of the story that got a little lost in translation for me. Overall though, I didn't mind this comic. I don't think I would get another, like, the second issue in this, but yeah, that's just my opinion about this comic. Coming in at number 3, we got this one, Boom, The Twisted Romance from Image Comics. Overall, this is a really simply drawn comic, and I really like the art style that they used for this comic. It's very simple and very much childlike. I felt like this comic was very easy to read, and like the color choices that they used were really well done. The drawing itself is sort of like toned down, like childlike, and I really do like that. And the texture for the pages that they use is really great because it's like very easy to flip through. And yeah. And it had a lot of like adult themes and everything, and even there is some gory moments and everything, but it's not like exploited. It's somewhat settled down and everything. But yeah, I really did like this. This is the first issue of 4. Personally, I wouldn't mind getting the second issue to see where the story would go, but I'd be okay with not reading the second issue. But I would recommend it if you're interested in more quirky indie type comics. Coming in at number 2, we have Deathbed issue number 1. This is probably my favorite comic in the box, and personally for me, I would get the second issue. Deathbed is a really great comic. It has great artwork, has a really great story that entices you in the first issue. And personally for me, I'm probably gonna buy these on Comixology or something, just because I think they'd be a really great book to read on your phone and stuff, because the artwork has a lot of detail in it, but it also has a really great story to it. A lot of it is about like this guy who is about to die, and he's going on an adventure and everything, and he wants to go on an adventure with like the secondary character who is really just trying to survive and wants to try to write an article about this guy's life and everything. And it's a really interesting comic because of that. I like the art style. I like the sort of zombies that they have in the background, and I really want to see the context of those zombies themselves and whether or not there is like some kind of meaning to them, or just a part of the story in like the universe itself. If you're interested in a really cool, quirky indie comic and you're a bit more of a mature reader, I'd 100% recommend this. Coming in at number 1, my favorite comic from this box would be this here, Swamp Thing: The Winter Special. I really like this comic for multiple different reasons. Firstly, the main story from this comic is great. It talks about Swamp Thing, which I actually really like as a character, and that first main story is just really great and really, really well done. And I think that's why I was really attracted to this story, and it just was very the artwork was done right. I really like how they did Swamp Thing, and how they gave him a really intimidating silhouette, yet he is yet you give him such a sweet personality, and I really like the story that they had there. That main story was really well done, and I felt really attached to that. And I felt very much like it was a bit of a sort of modern day interpretation of the Giving Tree in a sense. But the main reason why I picked this comic as number 1 as my favorite comic from this box would be because they give a tribute to Len Wein, who sadly passed away in 2017. He was a comic book artist who was in the middle of writing a Swamp Thing series and everything, and they paid tribute to him by releasing the final script that he had written out for one of the issues of Swamp Thing. And it's really unfortunate to hear about his passing, but it's a really great, I'm really happy that they were able to honor him in this 80-page giant, and it was really great to see a behind-the-scenes look of how they write comics, and more specifically Swamp Thing, because I really got a great idea of this character by taking away the visuals and by being able to read this comic without the visuals. You get a really great sense of where they'd want to go with this character, maybe some attributes of this character that you may not be able to see within the visual medium. But yeah, it's sort of it's sad to see people pass away, but it's a way of life. But I was really happy that they were able to tribute Len in this comic. Personally, I didn't know of his comics and everything, being a new comic nerd here, but I was really happy that they were able to do that. But yeah, besides that, that's basically why I like this comic. To be honest, I don't think I'd get the next special of it, but I'd be interested in getting Swamp Thing like comics. And so yeah, that is my review of the comics from Epic Comic Box from the February one, I think. But yeah, that's my review of it, of those comics. If you want to watch the first video where I unbox them all and everything, and I sort of discuss some of the problems that I have with this box personally, I'll link it down below. Besides that, some things to keep in mind with this box is that you have to pay for the box plus shipping. And that was my biggest issue with this box. Besides, yeah, I feel like although reading these comics, my issues still do stand as they are, even though the comics are good. Feel free to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and hit post notifications if that is something that you are into. And yeah, that's about it. That's I think this will probably be my last video about Epic Comic Box. So yeah, besides that, I will have more unboxing content, and I have new content on the way. So yeah, bye!